Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to another Bike News, the monthly look back at all that's been going on in the world of motorcycles, at least according to MCN, in the last month. And would you believe, April has already gone. Okay, welcome back to the channel, folks, and thanks once again for tuning in to Bike News. Loads of stories to get through, so grab yourself a brew in the usual manner, and let's get on with it. First story that piqued my interest this month. Jucati break $1 billion. Now, this is a great news story. Brand bagged 10-figure earnings for the third successive year, it says here. Jucati capped off 2025 by surpassing the €1 billion revenue mark for the third year on the trot. Jucati CEO Claudio Domenicali said, we enjoy a solid financial base that allows us to continuously and significantly invest in research and development, innovation and racing competition, while continuing to strengthen the uniqueness and prestige of our product range. And I have to say, haven't Jucati come on in the last 10 years? I mean, they've always made exotic bikes that we've all kind of lusted after, but they used to have that reputation, didn't they, of maybe being unreliable, a little bit feisty, whatever. But these days, that I just don't hear that so much. And whilst all manufacturers have problems every now and then, Jucati are in the mainstream and their bikes are as reliable as anybody else's. But I have to say, their overall product range completely appeals to me. I don't think there's a bike in their range that I don't like, thinking about it. They just seem to come out with great riding, great looking bikes, don't they? Yes, they're expensive, but yes, they're exotic. So well done, Jucati, on such a great milestone. Let's hope that rubs off on some other manufacturers too. And there'll be lots more Jucati news coming up in Bike News, because they've got some cracking models out at the moment, haven't they? Some of which I've been riding and I'm about to ride. Right, next up. Alan Milard, he does a column in MCN every month, and I like Alan. He's a top fella. In fact, he's a bit of a pal of mine, and I like to think anyway. And he's eccentric, and I love an eccentric British person. And the reason why I've pulled this out is here because he's doing something called the lick test. Now, bear in mind, this paper was from the beginning of the month, before we started having all this lovely weather. He says here, you look outside and it's a lovely sunny day, about 14 degrees, and we all think, brilliant, I'll take the bike out. But there's so much salt lingering from winter, so even though it's dry, dust covers your bike. So he went out for a ride, and then he says, when I got back, I gave the bike my lick test. And this is the eccentric bit that I like, that I've never even thought of, but it does make complete sense, which is something I've been doing since I started riding at 16 to assess whether it has any salt on it. Simply rub your finger over a forward-facing part of the bike, such as the front mudguard or screen, and then lick the tip of your finger to check it for salt. If it tastes salty, it means the bike needs a thorough wash to remove any fine salt particles. There you go, isn't that fantastic? So I'm going to start including Alan's lick test in my post-ride regime from now on. I think now, as time goes on, well, we won't be seeing any more salt on the roads, hopefully. And hopefully most of it is washed off now, because we've had some rainy days too, haven't we? But yeah, isn't it lovely now that the weather has turned, at least in the last week, to some absolutely beautiful riding weather. I've been out pretty much every day, I think. Hope you've been able to get out on your bikes too. It feels like summer is here now, doesn't it? I've just got a good feeling about this year. It's about time we had a good riding season, isn't it? So anyway, so that was Alan's lick test, which I just thought was amusing yet eminently sensible. Thank you, Alan, for that one. Next up, the refined Super Naked. This is the new BMW S1000R. Now, I have to say, this is a bike that I don't pay a lot of attention to, or haven't done in the past, but this is starting to look good now. I really like the looks of this. Now they've gone symmetrical on the front. It looks like a bit of a beast. So the question is, or the question I'm thinking to myself, would I have this or a Speed Triple? Now, they are quite different because, of course, the Speed Triple is a triple, and this is a four-cylinder beast. But let's see what Nevesy says in his summary here. It's a hell of a machine, he says here. The S1000R delivers just the right amount of drama without ever being difficult. I like the sound of that. It still dishes out brain-shredding acceleration. The chassis oozes confidence and its brakes are packed with feel. Best of all are the upgraded electronics that will let you ride a wet racetrack with sports tyres with complete control. Yet the S1000R remains roomy, practical, and the sport model comes loaded with toys and semi-active suspension. It's very hard not to like, says Nevesy. Excellent. Comes in 15,750, or as tested here with all the bits and pieces, 17,540. That was the S1000R Sport. So when I say, would you have this or a Speed Triple, it's quite a lot more expensive than a Speed Triple, and I do prefer the looks of the Speed Triple, I have to say. Why I'm doing that comparison, I don't know. I think it's just because, to my mind, they're both the sorts of bikes that you take out for a Sunday blast on the roads, although clearly this is good on the racetrack too. Anyway, we'll be coming to another BMW release in a moment later on in Bike News, which actually I think trumps this, and even though it may not be as performant, I think looks even more awesome, so stay tuned for that. Right, final story in this first paper. Practical magic. Sensible and fun with it, but which is the best buy? So here, MCN are comparing the Honda NT1100 DCT against Kawasaki Versys 1100 SE Grand Tourer. This is of interest to me because I have ridden the NT1100 and I've recently borrowed the Kawasaki Versys, in fact, in the very same SE Grand Tourer guise. In fact, I've still got another video, I think, coming on that, or imminently anyway, my sort of final review on that. So I don't want to give you a spoiler on that one. But these two bikes, and I probably am about to give you a bit of a spoiler, these two bikes, I do like all-rounders, but these two bikes just don't do it for me particularly. The Honda, I expected to really like, and whilst there was nothing wrong with it, I just found it a bit meh. And to be honest, I found the Versys a bit that way too. And, you know, but we're not talking super cheap here. The Honda, 14,000 quid, which is pretty good value for what you get, I guess. The Versys, 17,521 for it in this 1100 SE Tourer guise. So quite an expensive bike. You can get it cheaper if you go for the standard version. You can get it for 15,800, but it's still 16 grand knocking on. So these ain't cheap bikes. For that sort of money, I want something that's going to excite me. Anyway, let's see what the verdict was. Right, they've given both bikes 4 stars out of 5. It says here, Versys is hard to fault. The upgrades Honda have made to the NT for 2025 very nearly made it the ultimate all-rounder. Quite how a company as vast as Honda can fail to design a decent screen adjustment system is a mystery, and their switchgear dash interface needs a total redesign. Yes, they're a bit complicated on the old Hondas, aren't they? The Africa Twin suffers from this, as does the Goldwing, to be honest, a little bit. If you own the bike, you get used to it, so it's not a big deal. But just a casual glance at the cluster on the left-hand side of the switchgear, quite complicated looking, not particularly intuitive. Anyway, it says here, the Versys is hard to fault. The extra spirit the new 1100 motor injects is a welcome zap of fun that doesn't detract from its practicality. Price is a sticking point, as at 16,491 for the Versys SE Tourer is £2,500 more than the NT 1100 DCT ES. But I would think it's possibly worth it, because although neither bike particularly tickled my fancy, the Versys does go well. That engine is lovely on it. Just felt a little bit top heavy to me. And the looks don't do much for me, but then the looks don't do much for me on the Honda either. There's just something about both these bikes. But anyway, you can't like them all, can you? There's nothing wrong with these bikes. If they're your cup of tea, that's great. They just don't appeal to me particularly. Anyway, there we go. That's the first paper done. Right, next up, 5 stories in this second paper. Now, this, another BMW. There's a lot of BMW news, I'm afraid, in this bike news, so please don't have a go at me. Whenever I do these, if I have more than one store on a particular make, I usually get told that I'm some sort of a fanboy. Anyway, so I expect to be called a BMW fanboy this time round. So it says here, BMW's retro plays dirty. I absolutely love the look of this, because I love a retro bike, me. And I love a GS, generally speaking. This is a beautiful looking machine. Do you remember they did the R9T GS? No, it's called the R9T Urban Scrambler or something, wasn't it? Which was sort of a take on the old, the original GS. Well, now they've come up with this new version based on the new R12 9T platform. And it looks, to my mind, absolutely cracking. Although if I remember rightly, it's quite pricey. Anyway, let's read what it says here. Here we go. Starting at 14,420 on the road, the bike uses the same 1170cc boxer twin as the rest of the R12 family and follows a recipe first introduced with the R9T Urban GS, that's what it's called, in 2017. And it is looking lovely, I have to say. With the new BMW R12 GS, this is, by the way, the head of development speaking, BMW Motorrad is offering a classic enduro for pure off-road fun, head of BMW's Boxer Series, Markus Lederer, said. The abbreviation, borrowed from the legendary R80 GS, stands for Gelanderstrasse, which means off-road and street, and signals that the new member of the BMW R12 family masters both equally. It's got a bit of extra suspension travel and stuff like that, knobbly tyres, so you can probably go off-road with this, should you want to, with your 14 grand bike. The solo perch is fairly lofty, 860mm as standard, and climbs to 875mm when you equip the optional Enduro Package Pro. As well as adding more off-road appropriate pegs to the equation, the Enduro accessories equip a larger 18-inch rear wheel and 20mm bar riser. What a cracking looking bike. As I say, love a retro. The R12 series is lovely to ride, but I think I prefer the original R9Ts in its sort of vanilla flavour. But this version in its GS form, I think, is an absolute cracker. Yeah, I'd love to have a go on this. I'm going to have to add this to my list of bikes I must ride. What do you think? Do you think 14,420 is too much for that? Or do you think that's about right? Or are BMW going to do their usual thing and you buy it and then you're going to have to pay extra for heated grips and stuff like that? I don't know. Anyway, I like that very, very much. Interested in your views on that one. Is it just me or is that an absolute corker? Does make you wonder, though. It's still the old air-cooled engine, and obviously in the new R1300 form, the new Boxer is an absolutely incredible engine. Wouldn't it be great if they put that modern engine in this machine, but then it'd be liquid-cooled, You've got all the radiator hide and all that stuff. So I guess that's why they don't do it. But isn't it good news that they can still use that air-cooled engine and make it, I assume, Euro 5 plus compliant? Brilliant. So well done, BMW. That looks good, and I look forward to having a go on that, if I possibly can. Right, we talked a little bit about eccentric British fellas earlier, and we talked about Alan Milard. Well, here's another couple of nutters. Pillion record targeted. In fact, it's linked to Alan Milard as well, in a way. It says here, 2-up turbo Hayabusa Geo set their sights on a new world record in May. It says here, a pair of straight-line racing enthusiasts are attempting to set a new world record for the fastest speed 2-up on a motorcycle, already achieving 224.76 miles an hour in practice ahead of an official attempt in May. Their current accolade for fastest speed on a tandem motorcycle sits with TV personality Henry Cole and legendary engineer Alan Milard. Those recorded 183 at Elvington Airfield, York in May 2023 aboard Millard's homebrewed 8-litre Viper V10 machine. What a bike that is. So Alan and Henry have got this record at the moment. Looks like somebody's out for your record. Alan, what are you going to do about that? I don't know whether he'll crack on and have another go, but this looks amazing. Frost will be riding his own turbocharged second-gen Suzuki Hayabusa. Oh, by the way, this is Jack Frost of Whole Shot Racing we're talking about here. He's previously achieved 274 on the solo ride on the course, so chances are they're going to do all right. I've never ridden with a big passenger before, but it all felt fine. So we just set off to see how it went, Frost explained. We did another run with a little bit more throttle and did 224 miles an hour. So let's have a look at this. So they did 224 unofficially. The current record stands at 183. That is absolutely smashing it, isn't it? It looks like Alan and Henry's record might be going in this coming month. So we shall keep an eagle eye on that and then see if Henry and Alan have got anything to come back with. But yeah, nutters, love it. Rather them than me, I have to say. Brave nutters. Right, next story, raising the bar. Top-selling Yamaha MT07 gets serious makeover in a bid to stay top. Bro, can you hear that? Very noisy aircraft flying over. I don't know if the microphone picks it up, probably not, but I'm all for that. The aircraft in the air, to me, that's the sound of summer, so bring it on, I say. Anyway, where was we? Yes, the new MT07. Now, the MT07 is a bike that's sort of passed me by a little bit. They've had a bit of a restyling job on it, and it looks now much more like its big brother, the MT09. And I actually quite like the front of this now, the way they've got that little the little slitty headlights on this. I think it looks good. The only thing that's put me off in the past is the fact that it's a parallel twin, whereas, of course, the MT09 with that triple, the CP3, is amazing. So I would be tempted to skip over the MT07, go straight to the MT09. That's what I've done in the past. But maybe it's time to revisit the MT07. Let's have a read, see what it says. 2025 marks the launch of the 4th generation MT07 in what is now an increasingly popular and highly competitive class. Yamaha have taken the evolution of their popular middleweight seriously, delivering a comprehensively upgraded package in a bid to remain top of the class. For the first time, the MT07 gets ride-by-wire electronics. Good news, so presumably lean angle stuff. Etc. While the chassis may look the same as the previous model, Yamaha say that every part is new apart from the headstock. Beefed up brakes, it's got 2 more firsts for the MT07, are radial calipers and a slipper clutch. A new 5-inch TFT dash with 5-way joystick on the left-hand bar is clear, concise, intuitive and easy to use. So yeah, looks like some useful upgrades here. Michael Guy, it says in his summary, with its improved chassis, better suspension and excellent electronics, this latest generation is a step up over the previous model and should be enough to put it to the top of the class. The only question is whether the refinement has diluted some of the fun factor that always made the MT so special. Comes in at £7,700, so great price. Some great sub 10 grand bikes available now, aren't there? If you want it with the Yamaha YAMT, the auto gearbox option, you can have that for £8,050, so another 350 quid on top. But I think I'll just stick with the manual. But that's up to you. But yeah, looks good. Looks good, like that. So yeah, another one I might have to tap Yamaha up for. So many bikes, so little time, eh? There's such good bikes out there now. And this is another one, another Jucati. I said there's going to be more. 2025 Jucati Street Fighter V4S takes super nakeds to the next level on track. Now, this looks absolutely awesome. It was hairy before. It's properly hairy now. My mate Lamb Chops did a great video on this. Go and check that out. A proper nutter bike, this. But I love it. I'm wondering whether to have a go or not, because my sort of riding style is on-road only, and I just can't really tickle the performance that this has on the road. And these bikes just encourage you to ride like an absolute nutter. And I just don't think, as much as I love the look of it, I love the look of the wings and so on it, and I love the fact that it's kind of the top of the line bike. I would really love one in the garage. I just think I'd lose my license too easily. So I'm wondering whether maybe the newer V2S is more for me, of which more later. Anyway, let's see what it says here from Carl Stevens. Maybe I'll have a go anyway, just to find out. Ducati have drastically changed their approach to new bikes over the last 20 years, making them more user-friendly than ever, and the Street Fighter V4S straddles between being super friendly and a savage beast. Sounds good, doesn't it? The Street Fighter V4S is super in so many ways, thanks to the sheer thrust from that V4, which combined with the accuracy and feedback from the chassis and the electronic suite, creates one of the most capable nakeds money can buy. Which is just as well, because it comes in at 26,195 quid. An expensive game. That V4 engine now, though, is an absolute masterstroke. I've got the Jucati Multistrada V4S in at the moment for tests. Some videos coming up on that soon. And I've been blown away by that bike. Now, I liked the Multistrada before, but that bike now, with its auto lowering, fantastic. Anyway, videos coming up on that. Let's not get carried away. We're talking about the Street Fighter. So, yeah, so the Street Fighter looks lovely. I just wonder if that would be too much for a rider like me that is basically road-only biased and kind of wasted. But anyway, a lovely thing. I'm glad it exists. 26 grand. Not too many going to sell, I would imagine, at that price. Right, next up, now this is interesting. They've done a tracker investigation in MCN. So this is, trackers so that if your bike gets stolen, you can find out where it is. On the right track, it says here. And what they've done is they've compared different trackers across the market. And the reason why I mention this is because eagle-eyed ones amongst you might have noticed that old friends of the channel, Monimoto, are back as a channel sponsor. And Monimoto is one of the people, or one of the devices that MCN tested here. And it says here, so they tested Apple AirTags, which are 35 quid, basically they didn't like. The Monimoto 9, which is £149 and £36 per year, basically for the SIM card. And Bike Track, which is £299 plus 99 per year subscription, so significantly more expensive. No great surprise that they said Bike Track was best, but the Monimoto 9 came out as a pretty close second, and when you consider the price difference, I think that's pretty good. Stay tuned to my channel. They are bringing out a new model soon. I'm not sure what I can say about it, but it's a sort of a... Whereas Monimotos in the past have been battery operated, they're bringing out a wired-in device, and I hope to be getting hold of one of those soon, and I'll show you that when I get it and give it a try. Anyway, it says here the Monimoto is not only rapid in the speed of its reaction, but the app is effective too, showing GPS data that's updated every 5 minutes, or through a live tracking mode if you prefer, which meant we had a rough idea of where the bike was during its 20-minute journey in the van. This is where the two systems differ, as the Bike Track system will not show a map in order to protect the user from potentially harming themselves by intervening, meaning that the Bike Track team monitor the machine. This is fascinating, this. I didn't know this because I've got Bike Track on my BMW, actually. They contact the police directly and send the officers or a member of their specialist team to the location. So if you pay all that money for the Bike Track, and I didn't realise this, £300 plus 99 a year, they don't actually let you know where the bike is. They know where it is, so they can track it, but you can't go and get it yourself. So you've got to trust that the police are actually going to do something, or their team, with it. Which I don't know, just seems a bit naff. Whereas the Monimoto, at least you can see whereabouts the bike is, and it's significantly cheaper at less than half the price. Anyway, there we go. So that's Bike Trackers. Recommend them if you've got high-value bikes, particularly if you live in a town or city, of course. Right, next paper. Right, 4 stories in this one. First one, operating in the 4th dimension. Now, electronics on bikes. Lots of people say to me, and I'm of this school of thought too, that we don't actually need quite all the electronics that we're getting offered these days. We'd rather have simpler bikes with less electronics. Some are great, no doubt, things like ABS, traction control, fantastic, and cruise control. I'm fans of those. But some of the electronics now are getting so complicated, they're on bikes that, they're wasted on us because they're not necessarily things that we need. Anyway, there's another bit coming up from Piaggio here, which they say they're offering safety boosting 4D radar assistance, and it was developed from autonomous robots, apparently. So let's see what it says about this. Piaggio have joined the fray with what they call the industry's first 4D radar-based collision prevention platform. My question to you is this too much? Piaggio Fast Forward, it's called, PFF. The system uses high-resolution radar to detect hazards multiple times per second, running algorithms to assess risk and issue alerts to the rider. PFF system is purely designed to warn the rider, and this is where it's different from other systems that we've seen on other bikes. It doesn't take control of the motorcycle by, for example, applying the brakes. Hazards are indicated through dashboard alerts, such as a red triangle for forward collision warnings. Now, I put it to you that this may be a better system. So I can't remember which bikes I've ridden where they actually apply the bike, or which bikes have this system where they actually apply the brakes. But and I'm not even sure I've ridden any, but certainly I've had cars in the past that do that. I used to have a Mercedes estate, and if you weren't paying attention, it would apply the brakes automatically. And it did save me once, actually. So I can't really complain. But I just find this interventions of things like brakes a bit tricky, particularly if you're on a bike, because let's face it, if you brake on a bike and you're not ready for it, you've got to brace yourself on the handlebars. So I'm thinking for bikes, this might be actually quite a nice halfway house. Interested to see what you think. Is this a step too far? Would you rather not have it, or would you rather it did apply the brakes? I'm not too sure. Because, again, if it knows you're about to have a crash, surely you'd rather it saved you and did apply the brakes. I don't know. I'm not sure where I stand on this. Or is it just a step too far and just something else to go wrong? Anyway, Piaggio have got it. So expect to see it on some of their bikes soon. So Aprilias, things like that, maybe we'll see with 4D radar soon. Right, we talked, or I hinted about the Street Fighter V2 earlier. This is, again, just been launched for 2025. I absolutely love the looks of the Street Fighter these days. One of those bikes that's grown on me over the years. Didn't like it to start with. Now I love it. And everybody is raving about this who went on the launch and did some track riding. Well, I'm thrilled to say, hopefully, I'm going to be riding one of these tomorrow. So video coming up very soon on the V2S. And this is a bike that really interests me because the engine on here now is super lightweight. Okay, it's not as powerful as the outgoing V-twins that Jucati had. But at the end of the day, if you're riding on the road, I would suggest the sort of horsepower this has, which is in the sort of 120-ish horsepower, I think. 118 bhp is ample for the road, so I cannot wait to have a go on this. This is the sort of bike that I could see in my garage in the future. So we'll see how that first ride goes. If I really enjoy it, I might have a little chat with Ducati, see if I can get one for a little bit longer and get to know the bike a little, because this is right up my street, I reckon. Anyway, it says here, where the latest V4 has retained that hardcore track-centered approach for 2025, the new V2 has gone down a different route. Think light, fun and feisty rather than just purely focused. And on the road, on the road, well, it works an absolute treat. Sorry, on the road, well, it works an absolute treat. I think that's what I meant. Glad to hear that. Sounds good. I'm all for light, fun and feisty over too serious. The 2025 model is considerable 18 kilograms lighter than the previous generation. That's a big chunk, isn't it? Utilising the same monocoque frame and high-spec Öhlins and Brembo components as its fair brother, the Street Fighter V2S has been tweaked for a friendlier ride on the road, and the result is a machine that is devastatingly sharp and accurate, with bucket loads of feedback through those gold-coloured Öhlins forks. I'm loving the sound of this. But it's not only the hardware that's impressive. The rider aids make not only an engaging ride, but also a safe one. The 6-axis IMU powers Ducati's mighty traction control, ABS and wheelie control systems, which are some of the best and least intrusive in the business. This sounds good to me. Verdict from Carl Stevens. In terms of a pure road riding experience, this is one of, if not the most fun and engaging road bikes that's ever rolled out of the gates in Bologna. Well, you can't say much more than that, can you? At just 178 kilograms without fuel, the new V2 is devastatingly nimble and accurate, and is one of the sharpest sub-litre nakeds money can buy. The only downside is it comes in at $15,990, which is quite a lot of money, isn't it? You can buy other bikes that are perhaps in a different, not a different class, but a different league. You know, well, we'll get to some of those other bikes later, I think. But it's a lot of money for a bike that does compete with the likes of, I would argue, MT09, Street Triple, which are considerably cheaper. But then it's a Ducati. You get all that Ducati loveliness, don't you? I don't know. It's a beautiful looking thing. I cannot wait to have a go on it. Stay tuned to the channel for my first ride on that as soon as I can get it up. The video, that is. Right, next up, lighter, sharper and bigger value. Now this is the F900 XR from BMW, a bike that gets overlooked a bit, I think. I think this looks really cute. The front of it has got a bit of old Panigale about it, to my mind. Not sure I like it so much in this red and white colour scheme, but it is a cool bike when I last rode it, and it's had some updates. So again, another one, maybe I should be tapping BMW up for a little ride. It says here, BMW spruce up their F900 XR for 2025, deliver much more bang for your buck. For 2025, the XR gets its first stream of updates, mainly to satisfy Euro 5 Plus regs, but also to make life in the saddle more pleasurable. Well, we all like a bit of that, don't we? BMW have managed to retain the same power and torque despite Euro 5 Plus seal of approval. It still makes 104 brake horsepower and 69 foot-pounds of torque, which is perfect for the road, I would argue. As before, the F900 XR has 43mm upside-down forks, but they're now fully adjustable, adding extra sophistication. It's got a 3 kilogram weight saving over the previous model, tipping the scales at 216 kilograms full of fuel. So not super light, but I guess it depends on where it carries that weight, isn't it? Styling tweaks. Like most current BMWs, the XR's tail and stop lights are now incorporated into the indicators. That's a shame. I used to love BMW rear lights, and the fact that they've now incorporated them into the indicators, I just think that's a safety issue. When you're braking and indicating, it's quite hard to see the two. I think that's a retro step. It's a shame. Anyway, small black point on it. Otherwise, it looks good. Neevesy says here, the BMW is comfortable, well built, unflustered, has strong brakes and is less of a handful than a big tall rounder. Sounds good to me. As we're getting older and more achy, you know, if you want something that just does everything and you're not going to go off-road, maybe this is a great alternative to the likes of the GS. Do like this, and it comes in at £10,890, which sounds like a good price, doesn't it? But again, there'll be the BMW premiums to pay once you want to add extra things that you actually want, like heated grips and so on. It'll go up. But £10,890 for the basic bike, that's not bad, is it? I like the sound of that. I must make some notes. I'm going to watch this video back and make notes of all these bikes that I need to get a loan of. Alrighty, final story here. Basic Instincts. Now we're talking my language. Triumph's hot speed twin 1200 takes on BMW's benchmark retro. Which is best? This is the new speed twin 1200 RS, a bike close to my heart, versus the BMW R1290. Now, I have ridden the R1290 a few months back. There's a video on the channel. Go and check out the link to that if you want to. And I know the speed twin well because I've had a speed twin for the last 6 years, but I sold it last week. In fact, more on that later. Anyway, I haven't ridden this new version. I've got one coming soon, so it's going to be very interesting for me to have a go on this because they have made some tweaks. Let's see what MCN think of the two compared. And this is who's talking here. This is Phil West. Right, they've given both bikes 4 stars out of 5, so that doesn't help. But Phil says, both bikes are now available in such a huge variety of specifications, it raises questions. How much do you want from your sports retro? The R1290 is still a brilliant all-rounder. I'd stick with the 4K cheaper base model and add heated grips. As for the Triumph, there's no doubt the new Speed Twin 1200 has enhanced sporting ability. That also makes it arguably too extreme. I'd go for the non-RS version and spend any surplus on cosmetics. That's an interesting conclusion because I forgot there's now the standard Speed Twin and the RS. Good news for me is, and hopefully for you too, is when I borrow this from Triumph, they're actually sending me both models, I think, at the same time, or very, very much in close succession, one after the other. So I'm going to be able to compare the non-RS to the RS. And somebody who knows a Speed Twin well, hopefully that's going to be a useful comparison for you. So stay tuned to the channel for that. Right, 2 more papers before we get on to parish notices. How are we doing? Gosh, this is going to be a long video. Apologies for that. Right. Sorry, I've already done that paper. Last paper I meant to say, and we've got 4 stories here. Right, first one. Jucati break up. I've already done that one. What's going on here? Done that one. I've done that one. Have I done this one? Yeah, done that one. Here we go. I was right first time. Got to sort out my filing system. It's all going to pot. Right, here we go. Super Naked for grown-ups. Now, this is the BMW I mentioned earlier that I thought looks really cool. This is the new R1300R. Now, generally speaking, I'm not a fan of the Boxer in roadsters, but this one might swing my view on this because this looks, to my mind, absolutely cracking. What a lovely thing. Now, this is amazing because it's got a radar and it's got a new BMW front end, but to me, it looks good. Whereas I've always complained about, for example, the front of the new R1300 GS with its little crossy headlights on. It looks so much better. Even though they've got the radar in the same price, it looks so much better, or place, it looks so much better on the R1300R. Why couldn't that have been the front of the GS? I don't know. Anyway, that's just me. It's a personal opinion thing. Let's read what it says about the bike here. BMW introduced radically redesigned R1300R Boxer Twin with more focused appeal. The new R1300R has been designed to be a sportier, more aggressive proposition than before, with 17-inch cast wheels at either end, unlocking plenty of tyre choice for dynamic riding, as well as shedding a claimed 1.5 kilograms over the old set. Prices start at $13,200, rising to $15,500 for an SE version. Those wanting BMW's semi-automatic ASA gearbox will have to stretch their wallets to $16,255. Well, I haven't tried BMW's automatic gearbox, but I've heard from people like Dave Really Good TV, he's not very happy with his on his GS. So I think I'd probably pass on the ASA gearbox, particularly on a Boxer Twin. Gearboxes on Boxer Twins, for some technical reason, are always a little bit clunky, aren't they? So going automatic, I think, would maybe be a step too far. Anyway, BMW Motorrad's head of design, Alexander Buchan, commented, accordingly, the R1300R's ergonomics have been designed to be significantly more active and front-wheel oriented. Well, let's hope it's not uncomfortable as a result. With significantly increased power and torque compared to its predecessor, the Boxer engine in the new R1300R is the ideal drive for even more dynamic roadster fun, from sporty country road trips to multi-day tours. Project manager Hulk Glassing added, Brill. Well, actually, given this is the 1300 engine out of the new GS, and that is now a sprightly motorcycle, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. It does look really mean. I like this. I think this is going to sell pretty well. It says here that BMW are yet to update their popular R1250 RS and R1250 RT models to meet Euro 5 regulations, meaning they are likely to be upgraded to feature the same GS-derived engine and chassis as the Naked R. Exactly when that might be happen is yet to be confirmed. Now, I think I saw something about the RT being released. I'm recording this a few days ago, actually on Monday. I've got a feeling the RT is coming out this week, so you may already know more about that than me. But certainly in the next bike news, we'll be looking, I think, at the new R1300 RT, which is a bike I'm very interested to look at and see what they've done to that bulbous front end. Let's hope they've done a good job on the front, like they appear to have done on the R1300R. Right, next up, talking point, a letter here. Something that just leapt out of me that I thought was interesting. It's from Steve Clark. He says, I can't understand why so many dealers close on Sundays. Nor can I. It's crazy, this, isn't it, Steve? I'd have thought this was a prime day for trading. They need to work harder to get a higher footfall. One way is to open on the best day of the week. Yeah, completely agree. Now, I don't think it's the case for all dealers. I can think of a few local to me that are open on Sundays. But some don't open on Sundays. I saw one recently, I can't remember. I was on a ride out with Mrs. Fly somewhere and we went to go and have a look in the dealer and it was shut. Ridiculous. Open on Sundays, particularly if it's on, summer. People are out riding their bikes on Sundays. Surely that's going to be the biggest sales day. Anyway, swiftly moving on after a little whinge. Right, it's new, but is it worth it? Gutsy's Double Espresso. Now, this looks nice. I was talking to a Moto Gutsy owner the other day, actually. I was out with Mrs. Fly. We went to the Waterside Cafe in Benson, and somebody came and had a chat to us there that was a Moto Gutsy owner. It was hilarious because he remembered that Mrs. Fly called it a Moto Gutless. So I apologise on her behalf to you, sir, if you're watching, but nice to meet you anyway. Right, it says here, for the first time, the V7 gets ride-by-wire throttle, a 6-axis inertial measurement unit. Blimey, they are bringing this up to date. For 2025, Gutsy have tickled the Euro 5 Plus 853.4cc 90-degree air-cooled V-twin to boost power and torque to 66 brake horsepower and 58 pounds-feet. So it's not exactly going to pull your arms off, this one, is it, at 66 brake horsepower? But again, for this type of bike, arguably perfectly fine for the road. And it does look kind of cool, doesn't it? I'm not a big fan of sticky out cylinders, which is one of the reasons why I'm not that much of a fan of boxers. Although in certain configurations or certain bikes, they make sense, like the GS, for example. But the V version, like Moto Gutsy do, looks a bit cooler, doesn't it? And I quite like it in this green. So, yeah, I haven't ridden many Moto Gutsys in my time, but I wouldn't mind a little go on this. It says here, Neevesy says, 70s charm is still intact. This may be Gutsy's most advanced V7, but its personality and 70s charm are still well and truly intact. It oozes character, has a bulging mid-range and friendly delivery that makes it a pleasure to ride at normal cruising speeds, but still packs ample performance to put a smile on your face. And 9,700 quid, you see? So you compare that against the new R129T, is that what it is? You know the one I mean, the BMW? Then makes it look pretty good value, doesn't it? And a little bit more exclusive, I would argue. There's something cool about owning a Moto Gutsy, isn't there? Anyway, don't have a go about the way I say Moto Gutsy, all right? Moto Gutsy, I think, is probably how the Italians would say it. I'm guessing, I don't know. If you're Italian, let me know, and I'll try and get it right in future. Right, last story before we get on to parish notices. Naked Ambition. Honda's cut price Hornet has shaken up the super naked class, but does its affordable price adversely affect its desirability? Well, we'll have a look and see what they say. I'd say probably not, actually. I like the looks of the Hornet. And interestingly, because the Hornet is priced so well, other manufacturers have brought prices down. Have you noticed that? So here they're pitching the GSXR 1000 from Suzuki, which I'm not a huge fan of. Rides nice, but it doesn't look very good to my mind. The MT10, which rides fantastically well, but is ugly as you like. Again, personal opinion. Don't get upset if you like them. Against the CB1000 Hornet, which I think out of this batch looks miles better, particularly in that red guise of the non-SP bike. It looks absolutely fantastic in red. It's got a bit of Ducati Street Fighter about it, as lots of people have said. But out of that three, forgetting price, I would definitely have the Hornet every time. The MT10 is probably, well, no doubt, is the most sophisticated and rides the best and is the fastest and the hairiest and the most hooligan, no doubt. But that comes in at 12,320 quid now, whereas the standard Hornet is 9,099. So, 25% more expensive for the MT10. And you get a bike that's, you don't really want to look back at in a garage, I would argue. Anyway, let's see what the verdict is from MCN. Can't beat it on value. If all three bikes cost the same, you'd pick the MTN over the Hornet. Well, I wouldn't because of the looks of it. And the GSX S1000, as it offers so much. Performance, practicality, a high level of tech, and an overall feeling of quality. It does feel like a quality bike, I must say, the MT10. And it feels like you're on something a bit special when you ride it. Sadly for Suzuki, even the GSX S1000, even if it cost the same as the Hornet, you'd still go for the Hornet. as there's nothing the Suzuki does that the Honda doesn't do better. But the fact is, they don't all cost the same, and it's very hard to justify paying £3 more for the MT10 over the Hornet. The Hornet is undeniably the best value super naked out there. Well, until you consider the SP, which is even better and definitely worth picking over the stock Hornet, or even dipping into the used market. Yeah, that Hornet has certainly shaken up the market, hasn't it? And well done, Honda, for that. They've given, by the way, the Suzuki GSXR 1000 3 out of 5, the Yamaha MT10 4 out of 5, and the Hornet 4 out of 5. Yeah, I think out of that lot, ignoring money, I'd still have the Hornet too. Right, just 2 stories in the last paper before we get on to parish notices. Like yellow, step this way. Now, this just leapt out at me because I'm not always a fan of yellow bikes, but here on the GSX-8R, I think it looks absolutely cracking. It's called the Kro. It says here, Suzuki have launched a limited edition Kro version of their GSX-8R, with just 60 units available from UK dealers, priced at $9,599 on the road. Only 60. They've probably already sold out by the time you see this. I think they look absolutely cracking. The word Kro means yellow in Japanese. Details include black 8R logos, grey wheels, and a grey aluminium subframe with a smoked front screen completing the look. It's not simply about colours, however, and helping to set the special apart from the standard 899 8R range are a single-seat Cal Gilles billet aluminium levers, a tank pad, and a 2-tone seat complete with the GSX logo. Well, I think it looks absolutely cracking. And of all these new variants of sort of friendly soft sports bikes, if you like, the GSX-8R is my favourite by some margin. I've not ridden them all, but I've ridden the Daytona, for example. I've currently got the Yamaha R9, which is in a slightly different league to these soft ones because it's a bit more of a hairy bike and it's much more expensive, coming in at 12 grand. But I have to say, the R9 versus this yellow GSX-8R, I'd have the GSX-8R every time. It's so much more comfortable to ride, much more upright than the R9. You could argue it's not a proper sports bike in comparison. Yes, the R9's faster, but this just looks better. I would ride it more. I would look back in the garage at this. It's less complex, upright riding position, and I think it looks fantastic in the end. So I like it, is what I'm saying. There's only 60 of them, though, so if you like it as much as me and you fancy one, probably going to be quite hard to get hold of one, but you never know. Is it time to consider a sports bike in the garage? There's the thought. Okay, last story. Best of British. Does Enfield's new 650 Classic usurp BSA's class-leading Gold Star? Interesting that they say that, because my current view on these, the 650 Classic I cannot wait to ride. I have asked Royal Enfield if I could have a go on one. For some reason, it's proving very difficult to get a loan on one. I've been to my local dealer. They can't get hold of them for demo purposes. And Royal Enfield themselves are going through some sort of internal reorg or change as far as their marketing is concerned, and they don't seem to be able to get me one either. So I've got no chance of riding one, which is a shame. But when I can get one, I'm sure I'll have a go. I did ride the BSA when it came out ages ago, and I did like it. The prices of them have really gone down, and I thought that was because they had quite a lot of bad press, a lot of people saying that they had problems with them. But it says here, class leading Gold Star. Don't know. I do love the idea of the Gold Star. They've all gone a bit quiet, haven't they? We haven't heard so much about them of late. Anyway, let's see what it says here. They've given both bikes 4 out of 5, and Phil West says a clear star of the show. The Enfield's a gorgeous lump that gets the heritage modern balance right. It's fine, refined performer, and is great value if you like the style. It's the best current retro of all, and you won't be disappointed. But the BSA remains on top. That's interesting. So it's the best current retro of all, but the BSA remains on top. Anyway, the BSA's sportier riding position makes it more fun, while it's £700 price saving, and we're also still seeing some of them at £4,995, which is 1,500 quid off the stock price. Is impossible to ignore. Yeah. So the BSA, I think, looks fantastic, and I really enjoyed it when I rode it. It's a big thumpy single. It reminds me a bit of the Royal Enfield Interceptor, but actually feels a bit faster to me. And you can get them, if you look, for less than £5,000. What an absolute winner. Out of those two, I do like the look of the Classic, I have to say, but I'd possibly rather have the BSA and the Classic. 1,500 quid more. That's a lot when you're at this end of the market, isn't it? What do you think? What's going on with BSA? Do you have one? Do you like it? Have you got on okay with it, or are there problems? I'm not sure. All gone a bit quiet, but it does look a handsome bike to me. Right, that means it's time for... parish notices. Alrighty, first thing I wanted to say, well, first thing I wanted to remind you was, do you remember the Aochi C3, the little Apple CarPlay device that I raved about when I went to Spain and had on my Kawasaki to get me around when I was on tour? Just to let you know that those are still available. I've still got the biggest discount of any vlogger. If you look at the link below, and I'll put a link to the corner to my review of that as well, you can still get those 70 quid or thereabouts to get Apple CarPlay on your motorcycle. It is outstanding value, well, I absolutely love mine. And if you need a navigation solution and you don't want to mount your phone on the handlebars and risk damaging your phone, destroying the camera, that sort of thing, then one of these Aochi units could be the answer for you. Cost you less than buying one of those fancy mounts with the vibration dampeners, and you can actually have Apple CarPlay on your bike. Brilliant. I mention that only because I just think it's the best value thing for bikers for absolutely ages. Yes, this is a bit of an advert, and yes, I do get a little bit of a kickback on sales of these, but people that have bought them say they're absolutely incredible. I've been a user myself for ages. I wouldn't sell you a dud. Trust me, they are brilliant. So that's still available if you're wondering. Links below, not just on the C3. If you use my link below, you can buy any of the Aochi kit with the biggest discount, as you say, from any vlogger out there. So that was just to let you know that's still a thing. Next up, people have been asking, have I sold my Speed Twin? I put that video up a couple of weeks ago that my Speed Twin was for sale. And I'm pleased to say, yes, I did sell it within the day. So that was great. So thank you for everybody that inquired after that. And it got picked up a few days ago by its new owner, Doug. Here's a picture of Doug picking it up. Lovely fella. And I know Doug has already been out riding it last weekend. He went to a bike meet. He sent me this picture of it at a bike meet. Quite sad to see it there without me, but thrilled that Doug's getting use out of it. So thank you to everybody that inquired about the Speed Twin. Stay tuned to the channel. I may be thinning out the fleet again more soon. So if you fancy any of my bikes, let me know. Anyway, coming up on the channel in the next few weeks, I've got that final Versys 1100 video. By the way, this isn't necessarily in this order. There are a few things that are floating around that may usurp it. I've got a very special video. I went up to see my friends up at Crazy Horse in Bury St Edmunds a few weeks ago and drove the Microlino. This is a little urban electric car. It's absolutely hilarious. It's quite special. Now, I don't do cars on this channel very often. I get a lot of flack when I do cars, but this one is worth seeing because it's just a brilliant little bit of kit. So that's coming up soon. Hopefully, we'll be getting you that video as well of the new Street Fighter V2 that I'm hoping to ride tomorrow up at On Your Bike. So it'll be my first ride review. I cannot wait for that. Possibly my most hotly anticipated, for me personally, ride of the year. Cannot wait, because that's a bike I've very much got my eyes on. And then the next bike news is coming up on the 31st of May, when another month will have gone. Let's hope the weather remains great and we continue to get some great riding. All right, that's it for this time. Look forward to reading your comments below as usual, and I'll speak to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mr. and Flyer. Cheerio.